Let's divide decimals. And while dividing decimals by process is not super difficult, long division, if you haven't done it in a while, can be. So let's refresh. So when you're doing long division with decimals, you'll see the decimal underneath the decimal bar piece. And you'll notice on this one, on the outside, it's just a whole number. That makes life a lot easier. So we take the decimal and we just bring it straight up. And that's where the decimal is going to go in our new answer. So let's divide. 3, and we look at, since this is a single number on the outside, we look single number in. 3 goes into 3 one time. Now I multiply on the outside. So 1 times 3 is 3, and I subtract. That gives me 0. Now I am a big fan of bringing everything down because I don't want to accidentally forget a number. And if I don't bring everything down, sometimes I forget numbers. But we do the same thing now. 3, and we look into 8. Well, 3 goes into 8 2 times. So 2 times 3 is 6, and I subtract. 6 minus 8 is 2. Bring down what's left. And now 3 goes into 24 8 times. So 3 times 8 is 24. I have nothing left. So my answer is 1 and 28/100ths. Now let's do the same basic problem, but you'll notice on the outside, instead of just 3, we have 3/10. So the difference is if you have a decimal on the outside, so you are dividing by a decimal, you don't want that. So our first step is going to be to move this decimal over. And if we move it over 1, we have to move it over 1 here. So the decimal is going to go between the 8 and the 4. So now it's really like we're taking 38.4 divided by 3. Same idea. 3 goes into 3 one time and I subtract. 3 goes into 8 2 times and I get 6. 3 goes into 24 8 times, and so now my answer is 12.8 instead of 1.28. Right, so it's important that we note decimal placement on the outside. Let's do a couple more, 2 more that are a little more difficult. So now we're going to take 45 and 252 thousandths divided by 3 and 6/10. First step, decimal placement. So we'll move once on the outside, once on the inside, so my decimal now goes here. That should always be your first step. Now we can go ahead and divide. So 36 on the outside goes into 45 one time. So 1 times 36 is 36, and I subtract. So I reduce or borrow here. So 15 minus 6 is 9, 3 minus 3 goes away. So bring down what we have left. Again, I like to bring everything down so I don't forget anything. But now I'm looking for 36 into 92. And if this is where things get hard, you can always, on the side here, go, okay, so 36 times 1 is 36. 36 times 2 is 72. 36 times 3 is 108. You could always make yourself a little line and say, okay, 108 is too big. I need 72. So that means 36 goes into 92 2 times. So 2 times 36 is 72, and I subtract. 0, 9 times 7 is 2. Bring down what we have left. So now I'm looking 36 into 205. Well, maybe I keep going. 36 times 4 is 144, and then 36 times 5 is 180, and 36 times 6 would be 216, too big. So now I'd say, okay, so 36 times 5. 36 times 5 is 180. So this is, I'm just giving you options of how you can do this. We can borrow, I get 252. Well, if I go one more, 36 times 7, that's 252. So my last number is 7. 252 gives me 0. So my answer would be 12 and 57/100ths. Let's do one more. That's, again, a little bit more difficult. First things first, 2 decimal places on the outside, which means 2 decimal places on the inside. So my decimal is going to be between the 1 and the 4. Okay, so now we're looking. I have 3 digits on the outside. 212 does not go into 119, so I've got to look 212 into 1,191. Well, 200 into 1,100 would go 5 times. So let's try 5, right? And this is the mindset, right? You got to estimate. 200, 1100, see what you have. So if I take 212 and I multiply by 5, carry 5 times 1 plus 1, I get 1060. Well, what if I would multiply 212 by 6? 2, carry my 1, 6 times 1 plus 1, and I get 1272. Well, that's too big. So my first one is going to be a 5, and that gives me 1060. And we subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. 9 minus 6 is 3. 1 minus 0 is 1. And I bring down what I have left. Now, this is something on the side here, this multiplication. I always encourage people to write it down. Don't just put it in your calculator, because if you put it in the calculator and then it's gone. But now when I look at this and I see 1314, well, I'm going to use 1272. So my next number is 6, and it's going to give me 1272. So it makes your life a little easier if you like just write things down on the side. So 4 minus 2 is 2. I borrow 11 minus 7 is 4. And then I bring down my other 4. And 212 goes into 424 2 times. So my answer is 5 62 hundredths. Don't be afraid of doing a little math on the side to show your work. More work is not a bad thing.